Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Pemko number 219PW. This is nothing other than a 6-inch sample piece of the 219PW. And the 219PW is a saddle type threshold that you're going to very commonly see in in residential type applications. Okay, it's just a saddle. If you use your imagination, this will look like a saddle, I suppose, to some. Has a more graceful leading edge here and a bit of more of a blunt edge over here, and I would generally find this side would be the ingress or exterior side of a door that swings in. No hard and fast rules in particular about that, but that's how I would see it. Now, as I had said earlier, this is just a sample piece. If this was the genuine article, it would have a dimple. There would be dimples in the threshold. As a general rule of thumb, for every foot that you have a dimple, but then you have one additional dimple for every order size. What I'm trying to say is a 3-foot piece would have 3 dimples because it's 3 feet, but it would actually have 4. So there's one more than the order size. If it's 32-inch, it may only have 3. It probably would only have 3. But in general, a 3-foot piece would have 4 holes. A 6-foot piece would have 7 holes. Just giving you an idea of what the dimples would be. The factory will entertain custom fabrication for hole location specifically. There's absolutely enough charge for that. And I don't mean to muddy the waters. It's going to come prepped for holes. This is a sample, so there's no hole in it. It will also, of course, include screws, flathead screws, in fact. Probably going to be every bit of 2 or 2 1/4 inch long, maybe 2.5, and they will be in a complementary white finish. This is a piece of aluminum that's just been powder coated, is how this works. Okay. Now the 219 is shown dimensionally down below as 4-inch wide, and it's 1 inch tall. And this is going to be absolutely far too large in height and its other dimensional properties for anything handicap compliant. You're going to see this in residential applications, especially where you have an unusually large door undercut. So a 1-inch threshold, pretty standard for residential. However, you might be doing a remodeling job and you are pulling the shag carpeting out. Yes, pulling shag carpeting out. And now all of a sudden your door you've got a lot of gap below the door and the old sill that was there. So you might go with something 1 inch tall like this, and hopefully this would be tall enough for that application. But where you are looking for something that would be of this height, white, very residential, and I would absolutely suggest that you have a door sweep coming out and making contact with the face of this, or an automatic door bottom, maybe mortise to the bottom of the door. You might use a straight bristle sweep. You might use a bristle that has an angle to it so that you can seal that off. I like the line of defense to be as close to the outside of the door as possible because that's where I'd like to stop the weather from intruding, not over on this side. Having a door sweep on the interior, sure, that's going to seal it out, but I'm really still worried about the encroachment from the leading edge of the door, and that's why that angled style bristle is nice, because you don't have straight bristle that you have to drag over all of that. That angled style may work a little bit better for you in that regard, but you have a in-swinging door most likely, and you need to seal it out here, and you need to do so in such a way that your door still operates. So an automatic door bottom is actually a very elegant solution, because that item will only drop and seal when the door's pushed to the closed position. The last few degree is when the seal drops. So when you open the door, it snaps up. It will clear the threshold because it snapped back up into the housing. And also on the inside, if you've got a rug on the inside, it will help clear that as well. I've had people with automatic door bottoms, and they have a rug underneath the door, a rug behind the door, naturally, like we all would in a home. And that automatic door bottom opens, but because it will retract up from the lock side first and then come up this way, there's still part of it dragging on the rug itself. So you have to be mindful to not have that too terribly close and tall. A rug is going to need to be noticeably shorter than the height of your threshold so that your automatic door bottom can get snapped into it. Now, this is a residential threshold that will feature this vinyl insert that you see here. All these little boots here are for is to just keep the weather out. I'm just trying to pull it tight so we get an idea of what it actually looks like. Okay, like that. You're going to install that. That's going to come down and sit, going to give you a seal underneath. That would take the place of running a bead of silicone. You know, I might belt and suspender that myself. I might lay that into a bead of silicone. I don't see why I wouldn't do that. You know, you really want to seal it as best as possible. Now, the 219 is going to be available, and the PW just stands for painted white. The 219 is going to be available in, and I'm just looking up the different finishes. You can do the 219 in a mill finish, that'd be a 219A. You can do it in a D finish, which is dark bronze. You can do... Obviously painted white, because I have one here. But there are no other finishes listed for that, and what's interesting is the painted white is actually not listed in the price book. At least the current price book that I have, that's dated 2019. Forgive me, that's dated 2019, and that could be, maybe it's become a special. Probably not. It may have just fallen out of favor. That's why it's not in the book. But because it's powder coated, guaranteed that Pemko can also do these in black. Black is the new popular sort of color. It's been, you know, I've had a client of mine say, yes, black is the new oil rubbed bronze, and in a certain respect it is. So, you know, aluminum and dark bronze are the two colors that are listed in the price book. White is not even listed, but this is I sell this threshold. Where you're going to use this, obviously you're looking for an application that's 4 inch by 1 inch. You know, having that sort of undercut, that would be appropriate for a 1 inch overall height. This is listed in the site in lots of different lengths, from 2 foot to 8 foot. When you get out past 7 foot, freight becomes expensive, but it's highly unlikely you'll be using anything longer than 3 foot, maybe 4 foot. I would suggest that you order the item to the length that you want. You do so by ordering the next longest piece or pieces and indicate in the comment field the net length that you'd like to have the material cut back at. And that will at least allow the factory to give you a clean factory edge. And the concept is that they'll put those dimples at the proper distance from the edge and the proper center to center down the length. So no problem to cut this. It's just aluminum. A carbide tip circular saw is going to cut this. With no trouble at all. But if you want the factory to do the work for you, because they're cutting it anyway, they're not, you know, they're definitely cutting your material at least once, if not twice. Possibly once, because this is probably a 16.5 foot long extrusion. So be mindful. They're cutting it, let them cut it. Indicate that in the comment field. Okay. The name Pemko is synonymous with very good quality weather stripping. They are a company that has the broadest diversity of available products from any single manufacturer in not only the residential realm, but the commercial realm as well. No one has more options than they do in terms of profiles, is what I'm saying. And if you look at a Pemko catalog and you're trying to solve an unusual situation, and then you think to yourself, well, I can use these two pieces together, or I can cut one and use another piece, etc. You know, you really can solve lots of problems. And then keep in mind, they can cut, they can TIG weld, they can put holes in locations that you want. They have all that, that remanufacturing capability, that fabrication capability is what I'm driving at. There's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Pemko products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Any questions on the Pemko 219PW or any other Pemko product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.